I 22 male just walked in on my girlfriend 21 female of 7 years having with my roommate 22 male. 22 male. Because my final lesson of the day had been cancelled, I decided to come home and surprise my girlfriend. I went to the supermarket and bought everything she needed to create her favorite dish, lasagna. I was lugging the bags up the stairs and placing them in front of the door to get my keys out of my pocket when I heard my girlfriend moan. I assumed she was taking care of herself because I know she does that when I'm not around, so I didn't have a aha moment or anything. When I stepped in, she and my roommate were sitting on the couch. When I opened the door and saw that, I kind of froze. She looked up and spotted me, and he turned around when he realized it was me, and I only saw red. I didn't kick him, as much as I wanted to. Instead, I dropped the bags and walked away. They both came coming out and yelled at me to stop as I was getting into my car, but I just blasted it and got out of there as quickly as I could. I called my best friend and told him what was going on. He offered to come kick his, but I declined. I didn't want him to be in trouble as a result of it. I even had the engagement ring, which I intended to use to propose to her this summer when we were on vacation. It's in my safe, which I keep in the closet, so I know she's not aware of it. But I had intended to spend the rest of my life with her. Why hadn't I foreseen this? My last lesson was scheduled to begin at 12 p.m., but because it was cancelled, I arrived home at 12:30 p.m., so it's been more than 4 hours. My phone has been ringing non-stop from both of them, and I haven't looked at any of the messages or returned any of the calls. I checked with my bank to make sure she wasn't on any of my accounts for anything. I'm coming back later tonight to load up all of her belongings and deliver them off at her house tomorrow. Then I'll most likely take a bag of clothes to a friend's house and remain there till school is out, 3 weeks. What should I do next? Update. First and foremost, I want to thank everyone who has provided me advice, an ear to rant/yell into, or a shoulder to cry on. Many of you messaged me after my initial edit, telling me not to drink / that I was better than that / that this wasn't the right thing to do. That means a lot to me. My friend and his sister brought me out to supper to distract me from everything. I wasn't feeling up to it at first, but I reasoned that it would be better to attempt to focus my thoughts on anything else. My pals summoned a few of my other friends, and the 6 of us went out to dinner. I wasn't really into it at first because I was feeling low, but my pals did everything they could to cheer me up. I can truly say that I appreciate my pals and everything they've done for me. Emily, my best friend's sister, went through all of the texts on my phone from both of them and erased everything that didn't belong there. She texted both of them from my phone, telling them it was her, and informing her that a friend would be coming at a specific time tomorrow to take up my stuff, and she told him that I would come by tomorrow to grab some items, and that I would try to get out of the lease by talking to my landlord. I want you to know that I've read each and every one of these comments, as well as every letter that's been given to me on here. I intend to respond to a handful of them tonight or tomorrow. I'm exhausted, but I wanted to let you all know how much you've helped me. Finally, I have a few of suggestions for anyone who have been in the same circumstance as I am now, or who have been in a situation that is even somewhat similar. First and foremost, nothing your ex so did says anything about you. It reveals the type of person they are. Your reactions reveal the type of person you are. Second, you are all much stronger than you realize. Many of you have offered me wonderful advice, and you understand where I'm coming from. It's not always easy to talk about it, but many of you did in order to assist an internet stranger, so thank you. Finally, many of you have far bigger things in store for you. As one of my former teachers once stated, it's the same as going on to the next book in the series. Yes, you'll have to wait a little while for the author to release it, but it'll be worth it. Also, thank you to the generous person who offered me gold. Because of you, I intend to make a $5 donation to a charity tomorrow. For everyone else who wants to, choose your favorite charity and donate, or simply do something nice for someone else. It can have a significant impact on their life. 1. Update. First and foremost, I want to thank everyone for their assistance and good thoughts. Thank you so much. I'll start with what happened after then and work my way up to today, which is why I'm updating only a week later. Emily, my best friend's sister, texted both of them to let them know I'd be dropping over to retrieve some things. Emily was headed to my ex-so's. I went to my apartment with my closest buddy, Trevor, and Emily to collect some things. My roommate wasn't there, but he left me a message apologizing and attempting to explain the issue. I threw it away, after reading it, gathered my belongings, and loaded them into my car. I drove back to their place while the two of them proceeded to my ex's residence to retrieve my belongings. My ex was there, and she wouldn't let them in at first. She yelled at them to leave through the door, and after about 15 minutes of them sitting there, she finally opened the door and let them in to take my belongings. They took my PS4, movies, cookware, clothes, and a few other items. She cried the entire time, asking them to tell me that she's sorry, it was a one-time incident, and I would do anything to reverse it. They didn't say anything, despite the fact that she was crying into an old hoodie of mine, which they left there. I'm not too bothered by it. I told a few close friends what had happened and requested them to keep an eye on the doors to my classroom when I had courses since I didn't want to cause a disturbance. She didn't show up on Wednesday, but she was outside one of my teaching classrooms on Thursday. I entered through a separate entrance, and luckily she didn't notice me. Friday is my least favorite day of the week. As I mentioned in the last article, in a comment, I'm an education major with practicums this semester. Our education building includes 2 floors, the first of which is a laboratory school, an elementary school where many education students come to complete their practicums, or observations, and the second of which offers classrooms for education students. My practicum is with 3rd graders, and she was waiting for me outside the entrance to my 3rd grade classroom. We have name tags, and only have to show those to the desk to get in. She used to be an education major, but changed her degree, so she wasn't odd in there. My heart sunk the moment I saw her. I decided to simply walk past her and ignore her. She saw me and began crying and attempting to speak to me. I stepped inside the classroom without saying anything. My cooperating teacher urged her to leave, but all of my pupils who were present saw it. They began assaulting me with questions, but I simply said, "There's nothing serious going on right now. We can discuss it later, but for now, we must concentrate on our studies." But, to be honest, it destroyed me on the inside. I described the scenario to my cooperating teacher and requested her to keep an eye out for her if she returned. She replied she would, and that if she saw her again, she would ask her to leave. This weekend, I received a few text messages from her and her roommate, which was incredibly aggravating, a flurry of phone calls, and a slew of Facebook messages. Trevor and Emily also received a large number of them. I worked all weekend, devoting myself to lesson ideas and assignments that were due. I also went out to play golf with some mates. Today is the main reason I'm updating. At around 7:15 p.m., I received a text message from my ex. She informed me that she was pregnant and that the child was mine. I recorded the conversation. I'm trying to remain calm, but if she is actually pregnant, and the kid is mine, that throws everything into disarray. Can somebody give me some pointers on what I should do next? I'm doing my best to stay calm, but this is huge, and I'm starting to panic. Thank you very much. The text message conversation, her, please accept my apologies for what I did. I'm sorry I messed up our future, but I believe we've been given a second opportunity. I realize this isn't what you were hoping to hear, but I'm pregnant. Perhaps this is why I made my error. You can't use a pregnancy to justify adultery, it just doesn't work that way. I'd like to take a pregnancy test. Not one from the store, but to go to the doctor and have them do it for you. If it is discovered that you are pregnant, I will request a paternity test. Her, okay. I'll phone the doctor and make an appointment for tomorrow. But, if I'm pregnant, do we have another chance? No, not at all. All I need from you is the time and location of the appointment. She seemed to be calm enough for this to be a joke. She's been insane for about a week and is suddenly extremely quiet. To be honest, I'm terrified. Update No. 2. Hello, everyone. I've been asked several times for an update, but I've been quite busy, and I actually have some time today, so I thought I'd give everyone an update on my position. My ex scheduled a doctor's visit for a few days following my last post. She texted me the date and time, and asked if I would accompany her. I told her that I wouldn't, but that I wanted Emily to accompany her. She flatly refused, saying that this was our baby and that if I didn't show up, she would cancel the appointment and wait until I was ready. We argued for a while until I caved. I assured her that I would meet her there and that I would stay the entire time, but that I would be completely silent unless the doctor asked me a question. Her appointment was at 9:15 a.m., so I arrived at 9:10 a.m. and sat across from her in the waiting area. The doctor returned her call a few minutes later. They talked for a few minutes, she asked her some questions, and then she made her go to the washroom to pee in a cup. I made sure her bag and everything stayed in the room. Someone warned me she'd buy a pregnant woman's pee and use it instead. The doctor left after she gave him the cup, and she then tried to talk to me. I sat there, ignored her, and texted my pals until the doctor returned and verified her pregnancy. I began shivering and attempted to regulate my breathing, but my ex was overjoyed, and the doctor was overjoyed with her. Then came the scan, which revealed that my ex was about 11 weeks pregnant. I excused myself and went after a few minutes. As I was leaving, I texted her that before anything else occurs, we're going to have a paternity test. To begin with, non-invasive prenatal testing is extremely pricey. I informed her that I would pay half, but that if the child wasn't hers, she would have to pay the other half. Her parents, she said, were willing to pay for it. Her parents had more money than I could possibly spend. Millionaire's money, for example. I informed her that my ex-roommate was also taking the test. She responded he didn't have to, and I shot back, saying, I guess I'll have to wait another 6 months. Because they would not put my name on the birth certificate unless they can verify I am the father. She eventually agreed with me and required him to take the test as well. We were fortunate to get in a couple days later because there's a business nearby that specialized in DNA testing. She brought her mother with her. They indicated the results would be ready in 10 days and that we could come pick them up or have them mailed to us. We responded we would pick them up in person. I couldn't go to the results because I was too nervous. Emily and Trevor both stood in for me. My ex was upset that I wasn't there and almost refused to let them see the findings, but her mother informed her that she understood why I didn't want to be there. I'll never forget Emily's phone call. Hey. Myself, well? You are not the father. But you should have seen the expression on your ex's face. Roommates, I didn't make it plain that he's the father. Sorry. I squealed like a little kid at this point. Later, my ex texted me, and I simply ignored all of them. However, both other personal news, I've moved into a new apartment near Trevor and Emily. My ex doesn't know where I reside right now because her phone number is blocked. She's blocked on Facebook, and I've blocked her on anything else I could think of. I've joined a summer baseball league and play twice a week. In the mornings, I volunteer in the preschool classes on campus. My employment is allowing me to work longer hours, requested. I'm taking 3 summer classes, and I'm also the ASL tutor for the summer classes, which have now begun. I also got a bike, which I now ride on a daily basis. I also got a cat. Jasper is his name. And I'm reading a lot more these days. I understand I wasn't reading as much as I used to when I was with my ex, but I've gotten back into it. My pals claim I'm too busy today, that I have even less time than when I was with my ex. That appeals to me. The more busy I am, the less I think about her, and the happy I am. There's a week between the summer classes I'm tutoring this summer and a 5-day hiking/camping trip with Emily, Trevor, Emily's best buddy, and me. I'd like to express my gratitude to everyone that assisted me throughout this difficult time. The help you've all provided me has been invaluable. There are still those who say, "This isn't real," but I'm getting far more positive than negative feedback. No, Emily and I will not be dating. I'm sorry to disappoint the many folks who have inquired, but we are not. I don't see her in a romantic light, and I intend to remain single for the foreseeable future. This coming school year, I'll complete my BS in elementary education, and then I'll have to decide whether to continue my education and pursue my MS in deaf education and deaf studies, or whether to begin teaching.